Alright, so I recently started working on a intro sequence because we released a new collection on the website that is called Space, and it's all about space and like cosmic stuff that we're gonna release a lot more, but so far we only released the Earth collection, and even for that collection there's a lot more coming. But so I started working on this intro sequence because I thought, you know, the best way to promote the website is to create something original using the assets. So you could potentially use these assets for like whatever, really. You could use it for your documentary or actual short film or feature film, you know, if you need any shots of like Earth spinning or like close-ups of Earth. But yeah, so I watched the Terror like a couple of weeks ago that I really liked, and I really recommend it. I really liked the intro sequence they had. It was just black and white, really cinematic. So for this, I thought, you know, I could maybe make an intro sequence using our assets. And so the Terror intro sequence was a big inspiration for this one. But I also have been writing a lot of, you know, different films, ideas really, for a short film that would take place in space. So I'm definitely gonna use these stock footage assets, by the way. And so I already knew that the theme I want to go for is quite the isolation and that loneliness and separation between, like, you know, Earth and this astronaut, but really is a metaphor for like being isolated from like home or like somewhere you want to be, somewhere where you're comfortable with. So I already had like a really good grasp of like what I kind of want. You could potentially create a concept art title sequence beforehand, and you could use that to pitch, maybe, you know, because at least you have, you know, the vibes you want to go for and the aesthetics and, you know, how you want it to look. And so I'm gonna play that now. I am still using the temp soundtrack that is actually from the Terror's soundtrack from the intro sequence. So yeah, we're gonna talk about it once you see it. Alright, so what do you think? It was alright. I don't think it's not bad. With the soundtrack and the sound design, we are actually doing that in a couple of days. I'm having a call with Scott, and because obviously there's a lockdown in the UK right now. So we actually need to talk over Zoom, and then he's gonna record, well, we're gonna create like an original soundtrack for the intro sequence. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. I am looking forward to that. But yeah, I wanted to talk about like some of the stuff and how easy it is to use these assets, because essentially all you have to do is, you know, you do your foreground work and then the rest is pretty much done. For example, if you look at this shot, mainly really only works on the foreground element as well as this one. So you can see with this one, all I really had to work on really was the foreground object, which is the astronaut that I used Element 3D for. So in terms of actually creating this intro sequence, it was very easy. All of these I can just disable for them for now, because they are just extra stuff that I could, you know, add. So for example, like the flare, I could add. So you can see when I condense it, is only really 2 layers, because I have the background that's just black, and then I have my stock footage in the background that it's actually red right now. It's just the normal full one of the stock footage element from the website. Then I have my foreground layer, which is this astronaut. It's not even animated, it's just in this position right now, but all I did was just a simple rotation, as well as I animated the light. This one, I believe, yeah. So all it does is just kind of animates in. It just creates more of a visual, I guess, flow. It's not, you know, all these little details just add up together. Then one thing you don't actually see that much, it's just a very smooth detail, is the Earth background kind of shadows a little bit. But yeah, so in terms of like, for example, this shot was like super quick to create. And you know, when you put it all with all the other stuff, it looks pretty cool. This one probably took the longest. Again, like creating these shots don't really take that long, but coming up with the idea and like the theme and like the vibes you want to go for is very, very difficult, really. I mean, obviously the idea is always the hardest, but not always, most of the time. All right, and so all of these shots are pretty simple, you know. It's just, if I were to have to work on the background as well, the earth element, it would probably take a lot longer. So I'm just kind of going through them. This is, again, very easy. Same, I just changed the angle of the camera, and then that was pretty much it. I used a lot of displacement mapping in After Effects, so all I did to create these kind of frosty, icy look is use on an adjustment layer, just use a displacement map, use one of the textures I downloaded from Quickzoom, and yeah, that works pretty well. You can also, you know, just to make it look like a frosty glass, you know, like ice, you can also blur the, you know, the stuff below it. Otherwise it would look like that, but when you blur it, it looks like it's actually frosty. And the titles were, I use a lot of displacement mapping for the titles as well. I think that was a bit lazy, but this also might evolve a little bit more by the time you see the next vlog, which is going to be, I don't know, probably in a couple of days, once, you know, we have the soundtrack and the sound design done. One thing I could talk about is this shot of Sophie. This was literally just photographed yesterday, and all we did, she literally just had her like holding the light coming from a direction where I thought could look good. So that was a pretty straightforward photo shoot. For the suit, I mean, the suit does not look that realistic, but I knew that I wanted to have a very blurry look. I literally just took the same suit that I was using, removed the helmet, and had it kind of, you know, similar lighting-ish, made it a little bit darker than it was originally for the photo shoot with Sophie. I literally just used an adjustment layer with a mask on it to kind of just have like a focus point, and everything else just to be blurry. Of course, after that, I added another kind of frosty texture just on top. And of course, when you add the color grade for the, you know, this black and white, it really builds up a really nice look, because you have this really moody lighting. And yeah, I think it just looks really good with the black and white color grade. I am a huge fan of black and white films and just making films in black and white, so that's why most of my films that I have directed have been black and white. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I will make a few more videos on updating you guys on where this, you know, intro sequence is. But for now, I just wanted to, you know, kind of talk about it really, and talk about this new collection we have that you can find on our website. I will see you guys on the next video. That is probably going to be, I don't know when, but whenever, you know, we're having the call with Scott to figure out the soundtrack and the sound design. That's probably when I make the next video. Yeah, I hope you like this new vlogging look. This is my first, I think my first YouTube video where I show my face, or like, you know, talk to a camera. So it is pretty new to me, but all right, bye.